Alright, what's up everybody? This is Jonathan with Boston Collectors, and in today's video, we're going to be unboxing TMS-021 Ahsoka Tano from Star Wars, the Clone Wars series. Was this figure really worth the wait? Let's find out and jump straight into it. We're met with the yellow and blue colorway to match a few of their previous releases on the cigar band. By the way, this is only wrapped around the front of the art box and not the entirety of the box. This features a few additional images, product number, and the name of the figure on both the front and side portions of the band. As always, we have the sleek embossed Star Wars logo on the front as well. On the back of the box, we can find the legal information. I'm sure none of us actually care to read. On the front of the box, we have the main photo of Ahsoka in all her glory. Diving into it, we have an additional art card showcasing another posing idea or something you may want to frame for your space. It's a photo we've seen before in their promotional material, but it looks good nevertheless. With the box out of the way, let's go ahead and start diving into the review. If you like what you see so far, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Also, share this video with a friend and consider joining our Discord with like-minded collectors. Links for everything can be found in the description below. As always, let's go ahead and begin with the accessories. To start, we're given relaxed hands on the figure right out of the box. With these, you do receive a pair which can be used for several gestures or in a simple standing pose. Due to the seamless arms, you can pull off a few different poses without putting too much stress on our arms if that makes you uncomfortable. Next, we have a right fist hand. Unfortunately, we aren't given a pair, but with a few ideas we can come up with, I don't know. Hot Toys strikes again with their unorthodox hand selection. Speaking of unorthodox hand selections, we have one right wider gripping hand for other accessories. While we aren't given a pair, this can be used for the grenade accessory included with the figure. One small note, accessories tend to scar her hands a bit more noticeably than other figures. Moving on, while this force gesture was used in the show during the Order 66 scene, it would have been great to have this as a pair. It gets the job done, I guess, and we can use it for a few other scenarios. I guess I just wish Hot Toys would start including pairs more often. Lastly, we have a pair of C-gripping hands for her lightsabers. These aren't as soft and pliable as the other hands included with the figure, so her hilts aren't going anywhere once they're in. However, I do feel as if either her hands aren't big enough or the main hilt could have been scaled down a bit. In hand is placed awkwardly and almost uncomfortable. Her Shoto hilt in hand looks pretty good though. Not to mention the detail work looks great as well. There's minimal pitting depicted on them to show wear, which adds a sense of realism to the hilts. As usual, Hot Toys went ahead and gave us the dynamic effects to the lightsabers. Unfortunately, her right hand isn't strong enough to hold up the bigger effect without falling over or off the hand entirely. It balances much better straight up and down versus at an angle though. As for her Shoto hilt, or the smaller hilt, it's perfectly fine for me in any position. I don't use these effects outside of our unboxing and reviews, but it's good to have them in the box for collectors who do enjoy having them. If you're more of a fan of the simple ignited sabers, we have a pair of them included in the box as well. Hot Toys also included the Jedi Holo projector that we've seen in previous releases. With it, we receive holograms of characters like Yoda, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and maybe a saved hologram projection of Anakin? Moving on though, let's prep the figure for her gray hooded robe. Hot Toys recommended taking off the portrait for this section so that we don't accidentally mess anything up. Now that we're done, simply pop the portrait back on and you're ready to style the robe as you wish. Personally, I feel they could have done a better job than they did with it. The opening of the hood feels a little too tight and the top of her head looks strange for her montrals. Not to mention, the back looks very strange as well. This is also a brighter gray than what we saw in the actual show. As for posing the robe, there is bendable wire found along the front. However, none are present throughout the lower portions. Last but not least, we also have her base. This one is different outside of Rex, the 501st, and even Anakin. I'm not sure why they're breaking the continuity of them, but they are. With it, we're given a waist grabber, which makes perfect sense outside of the crotch cradler. She's wearing a dress, so you don't really want to damage the material with it. I'd recommend removing the waist grabber from the stand versus forcing your figure to fit into it. Once removed, you have a lot more range of motion to fit Ahsoka into the clamp. When you're done, simply slide the clamp back into the groove and you're all set. The clamp isn't digging into the figure, so you don't have to worry about any scarring if done properly. After a bit of research, this is Hot Toys' first Star Wars animated figure brought to real life without an actor's portrayal. That had to be pretty difficult for them to pull off artistically in order for her to look right next to the other releases. When you look at the subtle furrowed brow indentations near the base of the nostrils and the skin texture, it looks really good. While the figure represented on the front of the art box looks better, she did look a lot older versus what we have here in the final product. At every angle, this portrait looks phenomenal. I only wish we had at least 2 other faceplates to swap between versus having the one. It will make posing against Darth Maul better versus this straight expression. Apart from that though, it doesn't matter your lighting conditions. Her faceplate is a solid 10 out of 10 for me. As for her headdress, there's wiring along her Leiku on the front and back, allowing for dynamic posing. I'm not really a fan of the dye leaking into the white portions of her Leiku, and the lines not being straight. Outside of that, posing her Leiku is fairly easy. As for the back, I'd recommend holding down the base of her Leiku since it's glued down. You don't want that falling off. In order to access this separate rolling eye system, you need to pull off her portrait. This is the way I prefer doing it. Now that we're ready, simply grab the chin and slide out the portrait. Hot Toys recommended taking the portrait off of the body entirely though, so we will. Alternatively, you could keep the portrait on the body and just take off her headdress as well. Located on the back, we can find the SIR system. With the tool included in the box, we can manipulate and adjust her eyes as we see fit. With this release, it's a little difficult, but it is doable. Overall, I'd give the entire design of the portrait and headdress a firm 8 out of 10. To start, we have very small plates on Ahsoka's hips that can be removed on both sides. These can be replaced with separate inserts for holding her hilts. Sadly, mine did end up breaking though. Where are the magnets? Seriously. The other side ended up working perfectly fine, but for some reason the Shoto was an issue for $250. Nice. Moving on, her dress has sort of a vinyl feel to it, but it's joined nicely with the other materials such as the quote-unquote Beskar presented plates located around the central part of the figure and her gauntlets. On the front, we can find the reflected line work on Ahsoka's dress. I wish the plating on her body were more of a dull chrome to bring it together versus the gray plastic though. As for the lower half of the figure, she's double jointed at the knees and her knee armor is movable by elastic suspenders. The leggings are made from a really nice stretchy fabric as well. I'm just glad the knee guards aren't attached to the legs and we can pose them as we wish. Since we don't have a thigh swivel, we can swivel at the ankle through the boot. Speaking of the boots, the shin armor is removable, but the armor covering the top of the foot isn't. This makes it somewhat easier to treat the pleather if you have to later on. The figure is using seamless arms, right? So you'll want to create the illusion of her arms turning through subtle adjustments to her armor. Speaking of the arms, believe it or not, they're held in by screws at the base underneath. Just an FYI in case anyone's wondering. They have this very subtle wear when posing, so I'd be careful and keep this part in mind. So throughout this entire video, I've posed Ahsoka's arms in all types of bends and they bounce right back into shape without an issue. I haven't had to use any treatments or anything for the silicone arms, but I also haven't held those poses overnight or for extended periods of time. I love the texture on the seamless arms and the way they capture the light. It does a really good job at imitating real skin. If you aren't afraid to pose your Ahsoka, keep a few things in mind. Don't leave a pose where the arms are touching for too long, and change her pose often. To start, we have Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Qui-Gon Jinn, Captain Rex, Count Dooku, Kit Bash Plo Koon, Grandmaster Yoda, Darth Disappointment, the Coruscant Guard, the 501st Deluxe Trooper, and last but not least, Baby Luke. Overall, I waited a very long time for this figure. She was supposed to release last year, but we all know what happened with the ports. I really wish they compensated for a few things due to the price range though. Since we don't have battery operated components like the light up arm, I feel as if a few more faceplates would have been really good to have. Without reiterating myself too much, I wish Hot Toys would stop regressing in production. Magnets would have been nice to have for the saber hilts, and instead we get these chintzy saber buttons that are prone to breaking. Unfortunately, this figure wasn't worth the wait for me. I think the initial hype that is Ahsoka Tano might hold you over for a while, but when you take a step back and see what we have for $250 and a long wait time, you'll change your mind. As for the plus side, the animation to almost real life is depicted really well. I don't think Hot Toys would ever do something like this again with another character until they have a real life depiction. But never say never. Taking this figure for face value, she is a really great addition to your Clone Wars collection alongside Darth Disappointment, Rex, and Anakin. This is a very crucial time for Ahsoka during Season 7, and future releases like Bo-Katan, Casca, and Axe Woves could also complement her as well. If I had to score the overall release without the wait time, I'd give it a solid 7 out of 10. If you happen to have her in your collection, let us know your thoughts down below. How did you feel unboxing her, and what do you think now? For those of you who might happen to be on the fence, what's keeping you from picking her up? Let us know down below. If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully you're enjoying the content. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, join us over on Discord, and don't forget to follow us on our social media. Everything can be found down below in the description. This is Jonathan with Boston Collectors, and we'll catch you on the flippity flop.